Well, Dana Johnson McCauley, born in Bowman, North Dakota.
Michael Johnson, born in Bowman, North Dakota in 1955.
Lona Johnson Everett, born in Miles City, Montana, which I never have figured out why I was born in Miles City,
I don't either.
in 1956.
Terry Johnson, I was born in Glasgow in 1961.
Mark Johnson.
The baby.
Yeah, the baby. Born in 64 in Glasgow.
You know. So, how did your parents? Where did they grow up? When did they meet? What eventually got them to Hinsdale?
Good questions.
Well, they were both raised and born in the Baker area. Mom grew up in the Pleven area and Dad south of Baker. But they both went to Baker High School, so I assume that's where they met.
We know nothing about their courtship.
I don't know, we don't. And I don't think the Johnsons knew the Tunbys, but I think that's probably where they got to know each other. And that's all
I
that.
think your best bet on that would be to ask Rolf and Morris.
But I did
We
ask
have-
Morris.
No, and they didn't have no
Or
question
Rolf,
answers.
yeah.
And he was like, well, they just knew each other and got together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We don't know, because Dad was 2 years younger than Mom.
1 year.
Well, in school.
Yeah.
In school,
yeah,
he was 2
2
years,
old.
and he quit school when he was a sophomore. And so, we don't know.
We asked Rolf
Yeah.
what brought them together. How did they, two people from two different areas, but I don't know, they just must have.
Just like him.
And
So
I-
what brought them to Hinsdale though?
what brought him to Hinsdale is, I think, what I can remember is that Dad wanted his own place. His dream was having his own place. And nothing came together down there in Baker. Some hopeful things fell through, and I think he wanted to get out of the Baker area, away from family. And so they found this place up here. They looked in Bozeman and some other places, but they chose Hinsdale.
It was the cheapest, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it was it was a rundown place. It wasn't much of a place.
What was it the Amistoy?
No, it was Nick's place.
Mixed
But
it.
Okay.
Casterlines south of Wolf Point owned it, and I don't know why they ended up with it, but
I
that's
think it
who-
went through a few different hands before.
Yeah, I
Mom
don't
and
think
Dad.
Cashline had it very long.
yeah,
before they sold it.
Casterlines didn't have it very long. But anyway, Dad bought it. They bought it, and Ingessers moved us up. And on the way, we had a station wagon, and on the way up, outside of Glasgow, it conked out. And that's when Mom and Dad went down and off the lot and bought a brand new 58 Chevy, which is still sitting at Mark's.
I think that's the only true new vehicle they ever bought.
Yeah,
Which how many of us learned to drive in that Chevy?
We all drove
we
it.
all did.
Well, that's what I learned to drive in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the stick, the
And
standard.
mom taught me going up and down the drive.
Yeah. I remember going around and around, killing the engine.
Who caught it on fire?
How?
I don't know, just coming
No,
back from
just-
basketball practice or a ball game late
Under the
one
hood,
night.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
But-
Then we had a carburetor kind of leak in
Yeah.
it.
But there was no radio, no air conditioning.
And later on, there were holes in the floor in the back. Remember,
Yeah.
we could see.
It was a
the-
pretty basic
We
model.
could see.
Yeah. But I mean,
Wow.
that's what, we drove back and forth to school and drove around Hinsdale a lot.
Mhm.
And we never missed a radio. Never.
I guess I
even-
didn't even
That's
remember it
'cause we
didn't have a
didn't.
radio.
Yeah, no,
I
it
don't
didn't.
remember it.
But
So that's
then-
something you never had.
I wonder if there isn't one. I couldn't tell you if one ever got put in it. From when you were in high school or anything. Or I
Well,
don't
maybe I'm
remember.
wrong on that. I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure.
It
Yeah.
might not have a radio.
Don't
I wouldn't
either.
surprise me.
I
at all.
just don't remember a radio. But I remember Mom putting us 3 kids in the back seat and going to Baker. Dad would stay home.
Not
And it
all
was
the
a
time.
long trip. It felt like a long trip. Mom drive 55 miles an hour.
So did you get to know your grandparents on either side?
Grandpa Tumby, I could just barely remember my Grandpa Tumby. He died in the early 60s. But we got to know Grandma Tumby a little bit.
That would be
But we knew
Helen?
Grandpa and Grandma Johnson a little bit more.
Grandma Tumby's funeral was on my 5th birthday. So, and I was at
Yeah.
Ed Gesser's for the funeral, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause they didn't take kids to funerals, I guess.
Well,
Didn't take kids to funerals evidently.
yeah, and I stayed home.
So did I.
Oh, really?
I think you must have too.
I don't remember.
He
Yeah,
must have been
and-
at Ed Gesser's with me.
Probably.
Because
And
I was
so
staying
I,
with Schofield's during that time.
yeah, I stayed.
I
with-
certainly don't
yeah.
remember going to it, but
Yeah, but Grandpa and Grandma Johnson, they'd come up maybe twice a year, maybe.
Oh.
at the
If
very
that,
most.
but Grandpa had a lead foot.
What?
Grandpa had a lead foot, and he'd always brag about how fast and he could get to Hinsdale.
And they always had a nice car.
Yes, they did. Grandma never drove. But I think there's footprints in the floorboards of that car. But back then too, there was no speed limit. So, but he'd always brag about, oh, it only took me three hours to get here, and whatever. But yeah, Grandpa was, yeah. Grandma's a little more stern. Grandpa wasn't as stern. Grandpa always reminds me of Dad a little bit.
Well, and what we were
Teased
saying
a lot.
before, I think Grandpa was kind of like Dad, whereas in the house he was mild mannered and
Yeah.
get him out in the fields or get him out
Yeah.
around cattle, and it kind
That's
of
what
became
any
a
of
lot
them-
more harsh.
Have you talked to any of our cousins that grew up around there and Grandpa wasn't necessarily a nice person?
No.
We got to
We
see.
got the best of it
Yeah.
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
I remember a story that Mom told me about Grandma Tumby, because and this was when Mom was living in town. I guess when Dad and Mom must have been dating, and Mom never gave us a curfew. She never said you had to be home at noon or not, like midnight. And she said the reason I asked her why she never gave us a curfew, and she said she remembered a time when she and Dad were dating, and she had a curfew and they were late. And I don't know if Dad was driving her out to Pleasant because she said he was speeding around those corners and it scared her to death. And so she didn't want us ever to have to speed home
Oh, I never heard. Oh,
to
that's-
meet a curfew.
That makes
Uh-huh.
sense.
It makes
know?
sense. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to go off that, she never gave me a curfew either. She just, be home at a reasonable time. Her idea of a reasonable time was never my idea.
Oh.
Well, I think we
So
all.
we-
we all knew about when we were supposed to.
Yeah, and all of us kind of did go over that because when I was dating
And
Jim
she,
stuff. Yeah.
and most of the time Mom was still up,
Oh yeah.
waiting for me.
Yeah.
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 Later on, she would go to bed, but I always knew she
You
was
needed
awake.
to have friends like mine, huh, Mike?
Yeah.
Why?
They call her up and said, Edie, we're really worried about Mark. We're sending him home a little drunk.
Did they do that?
Edwin and Jeff and Chris. So
And were you really drunk or
Uh-huh.
really?
And what was her response to that?
I don't
Oh well,
remember.
just bring him home.
No, well, that she did to them. She's
Yeah.
all like, well, shit to them. She's just being, why are you doing, why didn't you do this or that? But you know how she always sat on the edge of that couch with that one lamp above
Yeah.
her, and that was the only light on in the whole house.
House.
I'm like, oh, your
And you
friends,
walk in and it's right
your
there.
friends just called. Want to make sure you made it home. Oh.
But Mom always had the light above the stove on.
Mhm.
Or the outside light if you were still out. You were
Yeah.
supposed to shut it off.
Yeah.
But
But
Mike, I'm finishing that. Mike, they told Mike that story one night, and Mike goes, "There's no way you guys did that. No way."
Well, being the oldest, she was really pretty kind of strict with me. I never did go out and do a whole lot of things. And I see as the time went on, things got a little more relaxed.
But I don't remember Mom waiting up for me.
Oh, I remember her waiting up for
Yeah,
me.
I don't-
She waited up for
Yeah,
me.
I don't remember that.
But
Now that you say that, I think that's the only time. But the outside light was always on, and you needed to
Yeah.
shut that outside light off. That's probably was most of the time.
yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
that
But
one
I
time.
always knew she was awake, even if she wasn't up.
But I know that I had the choice between band or piano. I couldn't take both. And I always regret not taking
I
band.
had the same choice.
And,
No, I didn't have no choice. It was.
well, really didn't have a choice either. It was piano. But when I got into high school and later on I'm going, I think I missed out a lot being a part of a band. Because they would tell stories about things but I was a twirler.
Yeah.
Kathy McCauley, Ophis then taught us how to twirl. So we got to go to band days in in Havre.
Right.
And Havre just seemed like a big, huge town to us. Because we never went outside of Glasgow. I mean, it was a
I got to
big,
join band, I guess, when I was a sophomore, because Mrs. Knudsen needed a drummer, bass drummer, so Mom let me do that.
He was a sophomore before you joined, though.
I was a freshman or sophomore. I might have been a freshman actually when I was a bass drummer, then I graduated to snare drum when I was like a junior, I think, or something.
but later on I can understand why there was a choice. Because Mom and Dad didn't have a whole lot of money.
And we already had a piano.
And we had a piano, and I think that's something that she always regretted, was not learning how to play the piano. And so piano lessons, I'm sure Eleanor Rosendahl, we took piano lessons from Eleanor, and I'm sure that, I don't remember how much they cost, but it was probably more money than
Yeah. I'm
what
sure it
they
was a
could have,
sacrifice.
afford, and then to buy an instrument or rent an instrument. I kind of understand, because Mom and Dad didn't have a lot of money, but I never felt like we were without
We didn't feel any
anything.
different than anybody else.
Yeah,
So,
but,
did the house come with the piano then? Is that
no, I think Mom and Dad bought it off someplace.
Seemed like.
Yeah, it was an old one, and then she antiqued it.
She did.
She antiqued it, but the old house, I think the bathroom was an afterthought. And there was it was only 2 bedrooms, Mom's, Dad's bedroom, and then that big bedroom for us 3 kids. We slept in there for a long time. And then they had a porch off the front that we played in, but it wasn't all-weather type thing. And then as we got older, then Dad, we made it into 2 bedrooms, and I took, what surprises me, that vine, that creeping Virginia that was in front. I took a piece of that and planted it up north. And when Mike and Heidi built that big old deck off the south, it's, she tore all that out. And the other day when I went up there,
It's probably
here's a
coming
little
back
piece.
pretty hardy.
I said, that's from Mom and Dad's.
From the original
I
place.
didn't realize that, I guess, that's where that came from when you had that.
Yeah. But, it's,
But, we had those 2 bedrooms, and this is something that I want to make sure is kind of documented, is how, we didn't have a lot of money. Dad was working hard, Mom was working hard, but they were so generous.
yes.
Look at all the people that they invited to come
Right,
live with us, and even John and John, both Johns,
right.
lived with us when we still only had just that, well, we might have had the porch bedrooms by then,
Yes, we did.
Because they both stayed in that.
So, John, which John's are you?
John Blockus
Blockus first
and-
came,
And then John Falgren.
John Paul.
John Falgren, and then later on, remember the, Bill Cole,
Yeah.
They took care of him.
Well, and he died out there.
he died in our bunkhouse.
In the bunkhouse.
Yeah, they went out there one day after church, we went to this guy's place, I don't know,
He died when we were on vacation.
and brought him home, and
But
he
when
lived
you-
in the
when you-
Oh,
bunkhouse.
pick up, yeah. I remember going picking him up. He was about froze to death. He had
Yeah,
lived in a log cabin outside, and he had turned the heat off, expecting us to be there like 2 hours before that. Yeah,
And
he
he
was
just
cold.
laid in the bed in the bunkhouse and we'd bring him food and,
I think he loved it there because he turned the heat up to about 98
Yeah.
in there. We had free
I can
gas.
barely remember that room, but I
But
can
he-
remember that.
Yeah.
And there was a chair, there was an old rocking chair that he would sit.
Mhm.
I remember him sitting
I
outside.
don't ever remember him being in the house.
no.
Mm-mm. Axel Peterson, did he live out there?
He did?
Yeah, I think he did too. But he wasn't the same kind of,
No.
I mean, he would come and go.
I'm not so sure if he didn't help Dad a bit.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that.
I don't remember if Dad paid him or if he worked for a little bit for room and board or.
All I remember about that bunkhouse is the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was the same smell as Boucher's bunkhouse.
Well, and it
Yeah,
might
actually-
have come from when, yeah.
When you got that old person living
Yeah.
in there, it didn't take
No
long.
air.
Yeah, it was
And then-
stifling in there, no
Well,
ventilation.
he must have used the outhouse, but no way to clean up or anything, because there's no running
There was
water
no
out
water
there,
out
nothing.
I don't know how that worked.
No, yeah,
I don't think,
either.
he wasn't there very long though, was he? We were on vacation when he died. And then on into Anthony when they,
Yeah.
you know, brought him in too. So you know, and anybody who would stop,
Mhm.
you know,
And
we
mo-
would make the food go and
Yeah.
cut the steaks in half or whatever he needed to do to feed everybody.
They said they locked their house one time. You heard that story? You probably have. I don't know if we'd gone to Baker or where we had gone. I think it was John Falgren was coming by
Mhm.
and broke his vehicle down and couldn't get in the house.
It was
Really?
cold winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Oh.
never locked their house since.
Mom was mad they didn't break a window or something, because then they had to walk on over to Boucher's.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the last time.
And that, I don't remember,
I
I
think
just
they-
know the story.
I think they had to put a lock on there to go, because there
Probably.
wasn't a,
Yeah, there weren't locks.
Uh-uh.
I wonder what made them suddenly decide to lock a
I
door.
don't know.
Yeah.
I think Highway 2 had already bypassed us there, I'm thinking by that time.
It'd been close because that's about when because John was out of school and he
Right.
was coming back through for
Performance,
something,
I
I
think
don't
it'd been
know.
And that was in
Performance.
'68.
So it'd been probably
After
new.
the, yeah, the new Highway 2 would have been in. It was a little different when Highway 2 went right by there.
Yeah, that would have been, that'd be weird. But Mom still was a bit, even whether it was that, if somebody was needing something in town, it was probably 10 years before Mom passed. There was a lady and her kids or something there, and the community put together something, and Mom was helping them out with it, gave it to them. And then kind of found out later that she was, I don't know, doing drugs, something that wasn't real savory, you know? And everybody else in town is, you know, like mad that they had helped them, and something. Mom goes, they needed help.
They needed help.
It didn't
Those
bother.
kids needed
Mom
help.
didn't pass judgment like that on a lot of people.
Just her family.
Right, I mean,
Strike that, no.
but that's
Well,
right, though, I mean,
well,
it's-
yeah.
she was
Well,
very
she was
forgiving more
judged
for others than.
Jim, I mean, she did not like Jim. And there was no
Well, we
qualms
could,
about it.
we could go down that road, but
I mean,
don't think
honestly,
we-
I
No,
could ask you to
but I
raise your
mean, as
hand if
far
Grandma
as-
approved of your
but-
spouse
but-
communicating.
Yeah, Jim knew that.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
what it was, but she grew to love him. In fact, she still cooked for him
Yeah.
a couple times. I
But
said,
that's
Mom,
one of the memories I have of Mama guarding this is when I was a little older. I was at least in high school, but on TV they used to have a religious roundtable discussion on Sunday mornings where they have a rabbi and different and I remember watching that with Mom and her making the comment about not judging people until you've been in their shoes because
Right.
you never know
Right.
how
Right,
what you would do
Right.
until you've been put in their shoes.
right.
But we gotta remember, and I'm gonna talk about Mom here, but she grew just like we have grown in our years, you know? We definitely aren't the same person we were when we
Yeah.
were 20 years old, 19,
Yeah.
20 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
And that's what, it's interesting, because when, we're sitting there at breakfast with Rolf, and we were all talking about things, Rolf leaned over to me and he goes, isn't it interesting the different perspectives people have on things?
That's true.
And she was, the different sides, the Tumby side was a close-knit family. And Dad gravitated to that. They accepted Dad. Dad loved being with the Tumbys more than he did with the Johnsons.
But can you imagine being sandwiched in between Daryl and Uncle Junior?
I know.
And Dad was
and-
meek, and those two were not.
And Dad-
Not meek, but certainly more introverted.
Yeah, I don't think Dad liked confrontation. I don't think he liked, and there was a lot of that in the Johnson family. So when they got married, I think he felt at home with the Tunbys and was close with them. And, you know,
But I'm not gonna say till the day he died, but for many, many, many years, he still would have given anything to move back
Yeah.
and be a part of that place.
Probably.
right,
By himself.
he wanted the
Yeah.
home place.
When
See, that's what I'm
I-
saying, is that
he would have
his
loved-
dream of having a place was the home place.
his home place was very special to him.
Yeah, yes, it
always.
was.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, we were talking about the cousins on the Johnson side down there. Dad was by far all there. You talked to any of them.
Yeah.
Was their favorite uncle. Which the competition wasn't very stiff, but
Yeah,
He was also a distant uncle. So.
yeah, and that has a lot to do with it. And that's how when we go to see family, it's special to us. And you see all the families around, and it's kind of getting that way for us now too, like with the McCauley, because they're all see each other all the time. There's not that, I don't know what to say, you know, that feeling of family necessarily that comes first. It's,
well, not growing up around our grandparents, it was a fun thing to do, to go down and see them, spend some time with them, and they were glad to see us. I remember Grandpa and Grandma Johnson standing out, and we're glad to see us, but
I never felt that from Grandma ever.
yeah, well, I have. But Mike and I would go down and spend, Mom would take us down, and we'd spend a week, part with Grandma Tunby and part with Grandpa and Grandma Johnson. And that house at Grandpa and Grandma Johnson's, upstairs, had that long closets, attic from room to room. And he was in one room and I was in another. And it had a bad lightning storm. And we were both scared. So we go downstairs, because Grandpa and Grandma was downstairs, and can we sleep together? And she says, no, you guys can't sleep together. We went back upstairs. He went to his room and I went to my room. And I don't know why they would never have known that we crawled into bed with each other, because we were both scared.
Yeah.
And we weren't that old. I mean,
It was a spooky house anyway.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a cold house. There was nothing
Yeah.
homey about it.
but I just always remembered, and, you know, Grandma's, no.
I have two memories of Grandma Johnson. One is Mom had taken you down to Bible camp in
Outlaw.
Outlaw, yeah.
Yeah, South
And
Dakota.
so I was staying with them, and I just remember sitting in that bed upstairs crying because I wanted Mom. And Grandma Johnson wasn't the real loving.
No.
Here, come here, sweetie, I'll take you know.
Give
And
her
the other one is just sitting with her, smoking and playing rummy.
And having her cup of coffee.
cup
Yeah.
of coffee and a cigarette in her hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only time she really had a smoke is,
I don't remember talking to her. I just remember
Sitting there.
playing rummy and her smoking. And that one picture in their living room scared the crap out of me. I don't know what it was.
Oh.
A dog or
with the little baby.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I remember
Oh.
looking at that. Just
Yeah.
it scared me.
Loved that picture. Reba ended up with that picture. Yeah.
I kind of remember a bit of that picture.
And she loved the Twins. Baseball. I mean,
Oh.
everything stopped
Well, the Minnesota
with
Twins.
the Minnesota Twins. And then with Grandma Tunby, it was just a different atmosphere there. But because Morris and Rolf both lived with her for a while until Morris got married. But I remember she was a diabetic and she wore those thick stockings. And she'd get her syringe ready, and we'd all gather around her, and she'd lift up her skirt and roll
I
down
do
her
remember that.
her stockings
that too.
and give herself
One
a
of my
shot.
favorite
And we just go, oh, how can you we just couldn't imagine giving yourself a shot. But she didn't mind it.
Who's educating us.
Well, she was a nurse, so.
Yeah. Yeah, she was the head of the hospital in Baker for a long time. Yeah. Then we lived in Baker. Well, Dad and Mom, after they were married, I think they lived in that little house, you know, in Grandpa and Grandma's yard. You remember that?
Oh, the garage that they had, they made it.
Yeah.
Garage.
Anyway,
Across
we
the
weren't there
driveway.
for very long, Mom said. And then we moved to the 101 place where Daryl is at. And I can barely remember living there.
That old brown house that was.
Yeah,
by the river.
yeah, I just kind of barely remember that. But then they moved to town in Grandpa and Grandma Tunby's house that they had bought when Grandma was working in town. And I can still remember that house. But one story that we do remember, Mike and I, there was a Russian olive tree out there and there was a rock, and I bet that rock wasn't very big. But we had a wagon and we were digging up that rock.
And the neighbor girls were there.
Yeah, and we were trying, I bet they were the B-Roys.
Yes.
And so we digging up that rock, and it dropped on my toe. I remember that. Mom wrapped it up, and we were to go to the show after that, and yeah.
We didn't
So I-
get to.
David dropped the rock on her foot.
Well, she
Well,
was at
Mark
help.
might have dropped it on me. I don't know.
That was the story, right?
Yeah, I don't remember how it dropped, but it was.
Yeah.
Was
And-
Dad them days working for the oil company?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And he had a supervisory position.
Yeah, he was the head of our, what they call roughneck crew or whatever. He was the boss, but he said he was never home.
No, I don't.
He said it was good money, but he was never home.
Yeah, I don't remember Dad being home.
I
I
remember very little about it.
yeah. Yeah.
Just a few years ago in Kalispell, there's a family there named the Newells, and we went out to eat lunch with them, and I didn't know very well, but he was from Baker, and he'd worked for Dad. And he was talking to me about what a great guy Dad was to work for. And Dad was really, really young to be a supervisor, you know?
He,
But,
he stopped and think
Very
about how
early 20s.
yeah.
yeah, how old they were. Yeah, they were young.
But he had a lot of good things to say about Dad.
Yeah, yeah. But we had special friends, the Veroys, and in-guessers. Very special friends of Mom and Dad's.
Barclays.
And the Barclays, because Barclay is my godparents, and Bee is still alive, and I got to see her at Betty's funeral. And but Dude, Leroy, and the in-guessers, I mean, they were just special people. And
Remember that time we were out at Inguessers and that dog bit your eye?
I think I was only like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I remember being in the hospital.
And the flap of the bottom lid, I think that was it a bite or did the claw?
I think the claw.
I don't remember for sure.
The claw caught something and tore the bottom.
yeah, and
You were just little too.
yeah, and Tiny took that dog right away and went and shot it.
Yeah.
And it was the family dog.
Probably wasn't the dog's fault.
Yeah.
And Mom and Dad always felt bad about that because they had 13, well, they didn't have 13 kids at that time, but yeah.
It wasn't it Mark too that also flushed the keys down the toilet?
Oh, yeah.
Inguessers?
That's what
Yes.
I thought that the keys were dropped in the heating, you know, that big grate they had in the middle of the floor.
Oh.
The keys were
I
dropped down
remember it
there.
being toilet too.
Toilet flushing.
I think that was a deduction. I don't think
Maybe it
anybody
happened,
proved
maybe-
it. Nobody ever proved it.
So I'm innocent until proven guilty, aren't
I
I?
think
I
so.
don't know. And then, did they hotwire the car?
I
What did
remember.
they do?
That was probably the old 58, and you really
Yeah.
didn't need a key for it.
So were Mom and Dad friends with the Ketchums before they moved up?
Well,
or
no,
did-
I think they became friends with them while they were, because Kenny was working down there. Kenny grew up down there.
Mhm.
And then I think Marianne was from North Dakota. And but they became friends down there.
In Baker
I don't know
before
how
they moved?
close of friends they were. but
So did they move up to Glasgow before or after Mom?
after Mom and Dad did, he went to Cut Bank and then to Malta, and then they ended up in Glasgow.
I know that.
Yeah,
And
but they were just talking about that when we were
Yeah.
out there the
Okay.
other day.
I remember going and visiting them when they were in
Malta?
It must have been when they were in Cut Bank.
Mm.
When we were on that trip, didn't we stop in
Oh.
and see them?
Yeah.
That would mean that they knew each other pretty well then before.
Oh,
they-
yeah,
But that was
yeah.
the mid-60s, so they'd been up there a while. Yeah,
Oh,
so they,
that are
well,
one and
yeah,
only
I
they were-
remember,
they had
yeah,
their
that's right.
Was that our one and only family
Maybe it was
vacation?
Malta though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were already in
Maybe it
Glasgow
was a
by then.
Malta, I can't remember.
I think, I remember going to Malta, because,
And at
They-
that time, they must have visited enough times to be friends, because we stopped in there, I remember.
yeah, I think that, yeah, because, and then they moved to Glasgow, and I don't know how many houses they were in Glasgow, but it was so funny is that with Marianne and Kenny, Eileen was born first, the year before I was, and then I was born. And then they had Neil, and then Mike came along. And then they had Mary Lou, and then Lona came along. And then they had Judy, and then Terry came along. And then they had Earl, and then Mark came along. It was just funny that it got to be a joke that when Marianne got pregnant, they were looking for mom.
Well, mom and dad had kind of the same thing going with siblings until they had twins, and mom said, "No, we're done."
Yeah. Mom was, yeah, we weren't keeping up anymore.
Then
But that totally-
us, it was opposite. So it was we're boy,
Oh,
girl, boy, and they were the
Yeah.
opposite.
yeah,
But yeah, they had those twin girls, and mom's like, "No."
yeah.
Because Melby's right down the road did exactly, we were all exactly the same age until Susan was a little older than you.
Mhm.
Or
And then,
Dorothy, too.
Dorjean was,
but
2
the
years old.
sex was all the
Oh,
same. Yeah, and Dora Jean would have been, but the first three were all the same, and then, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of weird.
But we did a lot with the Ketchums. Ketchums became second parents to us, and their house was always open in Glasgow for us, and which was really nice. And we spent a lot of holidays together.
And anytime Dad was doing anything, corn chopping or
Yeah.
harvesting or whatever, branding or whatever, Kenny wanted to be right out there doing it, because I
Yeah.
think he would have loved to have stayed in ranching and farming or
Yes.
whatever too.
Yeah, I think he's one of them that. Yeah, we were at the Ketchum Ranch, and it's a nice ranch.
It is.
And
Oh,
the same
yeah.
with Scholes, as Walt
Oh,
yeah,
grew
Walt
up right
Scholes
next
is-
to him.
Yeah,
All he
right.
wanted to do was be on a ranch too.
Yeah,
Until they did, yeah, just, I mean, he was helping Hanson's, till the
Yeah.
very end.
yeah. But it was
Yeah,
so
he kinda
funny
quit
that
coming
with
out
the
to
Scholeses,
Dad's. I
they had
remember what that was about.
bunches of
I
boys.
was wondering.
Yeah.
And Mom, we
I think
spent
Dad
all
said
day
he probably
Saturday
made him mad one time or something, I can't remember.
cleaning the house. We spent Saturdays cleaning the house for Sunday. And then Mom would have a big roast beef dinner, fried chicken for lunch. And then all of a sudden, oops, here come the Scholeses.
and out would come the meat grinder,
Right,
and she would make roast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or if she needed something, she'd make frosting and put it between 2 graham crackers. And then, but by the time they left, the house was destroyed.
But Sunday evening was the one meal a week Mom didn't cook.
Right.
Yeah.
The only one.
Yeah. And Dad would make popcorn, or remember the rice?
Mhm.
That
He would
rice.
make-
Or crackers with cream on it, just crush up crackers. Or
And
a-
so, do you guys remember when Scholes would come? Or Ketchum, but mainly Sunday evening when Scholes, we often would go out and play, what was it?
Annie I over.
Annie.
Any eye over the, and it's not there, whatever,
That old
or else
shed.
we'd go play hide and seek in the haystacks and stuff, that was.
Because Dad used to put hay right in the front yard there a couple times. I remember, I was pretty young, but I remember you get everybody out there playing in the
It's
dark.
dark out
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
so much fun playing. We
Yeah.
always wanted, it was a time of visiting,
Right.
you know? You would just get in the car, we would get in the car and go see whoever too.
Yeah.
We're
Without
gonna go
calling
visit,
first
yeah.
necessarily.
And you
Yeah.
just
So
drop
do
in.
you guys do that in Hinsdale now? Do
Not
people
much
just
anymore.
go visit? Because that's the one thing I've noticed in Portland with my friends. Nobody goes, has coffee at their house. You always meet somewhere. No one ever goes and
Just
Mhm.
come over
has
and-
dinner
yeah.
somewhere at someone's
Yeah,
house.
we've
We
gotten
always
really
go out.
lax, about that.
But it was, that was the time for connection.
Yeah.
Well, I remember
Yeah.
getting in the car and I did not, I'm being sarcastic, I did, having to go with them, sitting in the back seat of the car wondering where are we going, and we end up out at Simonson's or something. Like, I really would love visiting, spending the afternoon at the
Sid?
Simonson.
In March?
Well, I was,
Yeah, I
like
know.
in
I know.
third, fourth grade.
I know,
or
but yeah,
fifth grade.
yeah.
A life wasn't all about your kids in those days.
No, they didn't, you know, and I didn't have a bunch of toys, I mean,
Right.
and I'm sure you were probably with me too, but I remember being so
Yeah.
bored.
Well, and then going back and talking about mom and dad being so generous, not only did they open their homes, but look at all the people dad had helped.
Yeah.
The old timers, starting with the hand booths,
Yeah.
you know,
And the
and
Pains.
the Pains
Pains
and AJ Hands.
Yeah.
I mean,
And never, not expecting anything out of it, or if he was, he knew
And
he wasn't
definitely not
going
getting
to.
anything.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
wasn't going to get
right,
it.
right, right.
And Dad did everything. I mean, he did so many odd jobs for day work and money. I mean,
Yeah.
you could.
Well, his custom haying, he did a lot of custom
Well, then
haying.
they bought that backhoe, and he's doing backhoe. and
Yeah.
anything you could do to make money,
Anything.
selling corn,
Yeah.
selling fertilizer.
Checking bends for the USDA,
Yeah.
going and
Yeah.
doing bends, and
Yeah.
I was trying to go through them all the other day, and I just
Yeah.
couldn't.
Bus driving until he lost his
Yeah,
eye.
bus drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my earliest memory, my very first memory, and I, maybe 2 or 3, I guess, when he was, because I was 2 when we moved there, was he took me one morning on the bus ride with him, and I sat in the seat behind him and watched all these big kids get on the bus, and that's one of my earliest memories.
but, you know, talking with Mona, she loved Dad, that she thought Dad was great. But she says, I remember a time her and Ann Falgren were eating sunflower seeds and just spitting them on the floor. She said, he made us sweep and clean the bus.
There were
One
rules
of,
then.
yeah, one of my earliest memories with that, and it came up at work the other day at the library. One of my coworkers named Stan, he's my age, and we always do songs, but he said something about going downtown, so I started singing Petula Clark's Downtown.
Yeah.
And he started joining in with me, and of course there's Karina, who's sitting there, who's 22, 23, looking
Yeah.
at us. And I could sing the whole first verse, and Dan goes, that's good. That's good that you even got the illusion. And I said, well, that's one of my earliest memories of Dad, is going feeding in the morning. I must have been five years old, and having the radio station on, and I remember listening to Petula Clark along with Roy Clark, and so yeah, that's one of those.
Well, that's something Dad did like, was music.
Mhm.
Dad,
You like
remember his whistling? He was
You
always
never knew a
whistling.
whole song.
No, but
Humming.
Yeah.
humming, but I'm finding that Brock is whistling. I said, are you whistling?
Trail whistle.
And which is kind of neat.
Was Grandpa's whistle always that really airy version?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that little
Yeah.
Yeah,
between his
yeah.
lips.
It got worse as he got
Okay.
older.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he could carry a pretty good tune, but it was, yeah, it got. And
But
Trey,
But I also
go ahead. And Trey can do his loud whistle too.
yeah.
I remember after Mom died, I remember him the first time I heard him humming or whistling again, and that's when I thought he's okay.
He liked the music. And one thing about Dad too, and I'm sure that Mom grew up in the Lutheran church. They were very faithful church members. And the Johnsons weren't, but Dad went to church with us. I mean, we all, and I
Yes,
remember the
Hmm?
I
first,
think he did what he was told.
yeah, well, that's what I mean, but I remember the very first time we
or
went to
expected
church.
of him.
When we got there, we moved there. And we all get ready and go in there. We got there in time for the offering. Mom and Dad got mixed up with the time. And the church was full, and we had to walk down the aisle and sit in the front row.
And then the back row became our row.
Yeah.
Got there early, took the back.
I'll never forget that. Yeah.
But by the time I got in high school, Dad wasn't going to church anymore, junior high. I mean, once in a while he would,
Yeah.
but it wasn't every Sunday. It was-
Yeah. But he was a faithful member though. He was on the church board. He was the treasurer. He was in charge of the lutefisk dinner
And the pancakes.
and the pancake. I remember Lester and Ruth would come out and they would put together the
Mix.
I remember
the
that
mix.
too.
The whole
No,
house
what?
would just-
No, what was the pancake? We do pancake supper at some point.
Yeah.
Up until mid 70s, late 70s,
We had 4 or 5 meals a year. Did a diamond dip,
Yep.
smorgasbord the women put
Yep.
on, diamond dip,
I don't remember the
lutefisk,
diamond dip.
Yeah.
pancake.
I just remember the two.
Seemed like there was one other one too.
I don't remember the diamond dip. What is that?
Yeah.
What was that? What's a
Yeah,
diamond?
well,
Plus you had
you
dime
put
in
it, yeah, put a dime in for each,
Scoop of food you
you
took.
get, yeah.
I don't remember
I
that.
don't remember,
I'd
that's,
never even heard of that. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, and Mom was very active
That
with
was,
us in
didn't last
school.
very long.
I mean, if there was something that we had to do, she was very active in music boosters. She was a good organizer. She was in charge of the smorgasbord, and she was a very good organizer. She could learned a lot from her with her organization and how to do things. And she had lists, and she had, yeah, and.
Mom even, when I was in speech and drama, she would travel to have her to watch.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I performed, 4 times throughout the whole day, but
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom.
But
and,
you were very good at that too.
Yeah.
she would have been there no matter.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. And that's what I tried to get across to my kids. Because there was a difference between Bob and Edry and Mom and Dad. And Mom and Dad couldn't afford a lot of things, and Bob and Edry shoved a lot of things at my kids. And it wasn't until, it was mostly Edry that until they, that she got older, that she would go to their things with her camera around her, taking pictures. But I said, they offer, both of them are different, but they love you, and they both, but Grandpa and Grandma Johnson are at everything. Mom was at everything. Dad tried to get the things, but she was at everything my kids did. But Bob and Edry, they loved them, but they, in a different way. And I wanted them to appreciate both of them and not compare them. And I said, when your Grandma Edry pulls you out of a group of people and want to take a picture, you do it with a smile on your face. Because someday you're going to appreciate her. And I mean, she left pictures. And I got to where I didn't take pictures because Edry took them off. But it just kind of, it's just the difference. I wanted them to appreciate it because I never grew up around our grandparents and stuff. And
Back to when I remember you were in the Miss Teen contest, and you did that serious solo,
I
and Dad
remember that
was confused. He goes, "Why is she doing that? She can sing so well."
Uh-huh.
You know, he'd never been to one of your performances at that, but he'd heard you sing so much. I said, "Well, Dad, she does that too," you know. But I distinctly remember him asking that.
He must have enjoyed listening to you. But yeah, I forgot that you did that.
I think
Did you go to Glasgow or Malta?
Classical.
Oh,
For the contest?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I think we also need to talk about Mom working at the
oh,
newspapers.
yeah,
You know,
the linotype.
Terry and I were trying to think. When do you guys remember when she quit?
I think that when she worked for Zane, and then Zane got rid of the linotypes and went to computer.
That's right.
And I think
so that
that's
was
when
like
she,
in the early 70s.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was still going over to Jones's when I was little, and I can't remember if I was going over there after school started or not. So,
Do you have memories of the linotype? And yeah, I mean, all of our memories
the
of the
lead
linotype.
pigs or whatever it
yeah.
was. and-
Oh, you would have
Could you
been
guys
fascinated with
describe
that.
that process? I kind of know what it is, but your kids are going to have no idea what you're talking about.
I've tried
It's
to
a
explain it to
huge
my kids.
machine.
I say go to YouTube and
Yeah.
YouTube it.
Because it was essentially still using cast lead dyes, right? So
right.
Grandma could type,
Yeah.
but rather than it typing like a typewriter, it was actually setting the mold to then
Reverse
pour
it.
in this hot lead
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was then used as
Crazy.
the
One
stamp
line
for
at
the
a time.
newspaper.
Yeah.
Much better job
Yeah.
explaining it than I could.
But it was this
And
contraption.
it had arms
It looked like
going
it was
up.
an
Yeah.
alien.
Pretty amazing.
But Mom liked it. I mean, she enjoyed it. Yeah.
I can remember Armin a little bit, but not.
And both Terry and I don't know if you
Yeah, I
ever did
did.
it, folded papers?
Yeah, well, I clean too.
You folded papers too?
Not very often, but I was
Ah.
in there once or twice.
I remember
a year,
folding
like
papers, yeah.
I think I was, for a year, did it every Wednesday after school.
Yeah,
Folding
I certainly didn't
papers.
do it that often. I did it a
But
few
that's,
times,
you know, he had Pat Lemieux working for him.
Yeah.
That's right.
Kitty Lou
Kitty Lou
Rusher,
Rusher.
Steen then,
Yep.
and, you know,
It would be really fun, and I'm sure there are, I think that, what's her name from the Sweet Memories had,
Lona.
had additions. It would be nice to have a paper that Mom was part of making.
You know, and I've looked at some of them to see if there was her name in it, but I don't, it never said like Mom's name, because that would
But
have
if
been
we
really
could
cool.
find one from 1965, we know
they're
Mom.
out
The
there.
nice
They're out
thing is they
there.
actually have been digitized.
Have they?
I think you have to probably pay. I have the subscription. Newspapers.com actually does have the full.
I used
I don't know if
to
it goes
like,
into the
gave over
Independent,
to
but
Yeah,
The-
they
the
put out
Tribune
two
did.
Till they
papers, you
own
know,
it.
they put
Yeah,
out
that's
a
what
trade,
happened.
and then they
I
put
think
out a
she's
Seiko
still
Independent.
I would
yeah,
think
and then they
I
merged
And then
them
they
there.
merged
And it was a sunlit
Sunlit.
plains,
LIT, yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
so I think in total there was 4 newspapers through Hinsdale then, and then there was a couple actually like Bar and some of those had some little ones. Those ones were literally just homestead announcements that they had to do. But there was originally the Montana Homestead before the Tribune, and those guys actually came over here and then started the Courier.
Oh,
So
Oh, really?
that actually all started in Hinsdale in the
Oh.
teens.
oh, I didn't know that.
Then the Tribune, and then the Tribune and the Independent merged, and then the,
Sunlit plains.
yeah, to my understanding.
Okay. Oh,
And I
didn't
think-
know that.
I think the 3 of them, there's a complete set. I don't know about
Yeah.
the Sunlit
I
Plains.
know that there's a box. Bob and Edry saved a whole bunch of papers, and I don't know where, I
Well, you
mean,
can
we
put
got
my-
it someplace.
Put my name on it and I'll go through it someday.
I do know where it's at.
Well, and then in the summer when Mom was working, the 3 of us were the cooks,
Mhm.
and we,
Took care of him.
yeah, and
Like
we.
that was a burden.
But we would, I mean, in the morning, we'd go to the freezer, what do we take out? Take out burger, we'd cook casseroles. I remember there was a time when I made pies.
I remember making about pies.
And
Yeah.
we could feed the crew, and then we would take out meat for whatever
Yeah.
we were gonna have for supper, and usually we had supper ready too, I think, by the time Mom got home.
Yeah.
So, what were your favorite meals or treats or whatever that Grandma would make? Because I'm assuming she had a pretty large
Her
repertoire.
her chicken or turkey and dumplings was always one of my favorites.
Mom used to always, when we got older, like when we would come home, she would ask, "What do I want for my birthday dinner?"
Yeah.
And I always wanted roast beef with her dark gravy, which
Oh.
now that I cook, I understand whether it's dark or light is not up to the cook. It's whatever.
Well,
Got little burn bits in the bottom or whatever.
well,
But that was always what I wanted was her
Yeah.
roast beef dinners.
yeah. Jim always loved her roast beef dinners because Edric did it different. She didn't brown it. She didn't. And
Moms are always well done.
yeah. But
He never had a.
But Edric's was a
Very
whole
nice.
different, yeah, and Dad had good meat. Dad always said that if you're gonna raise beef, you can eat good beef. Well, the Macaulays were,
Until your kids got into
4-H,
4-H.
and then things, cause it was that old cow, or, yeah, not old cow, but
Well, cancer,
some cow or
broken
whatever.
leg,
Yeah, and then they would cut up their own meat, and it was just, the roasts were odd shaped, and you couldn't, yeah, it was, but anyway, he come down for dinner, and he said, "Oh God, your mother makes the best roast beef."
She did that good.
And a lot of it I do
I wish
think
I
is-
could
is-
replicate her fried chicken. 'Cause I
Yeah.
couldn't
Oh,
do
yeah,
that
I
either.
don't even try.
Yeah.
My favorite is always her bread.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
she'd bake the bread.
Oh,
And
we
then
got
and there were
middle
times that we'd
school.
churn the butter when Dad was still milking
And then
cows.
when she made bread on Saturdays, we would either get fried bread for lunch or pigs in the blanket.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And both were just treats. We
Well,
loved
Yeah.
it.
Or cinnamon
once-
rolls,
Yeah,
too.
and once in a while, she would make a homemade pizza.
I like those too.
Yeah, and because we didn't go out that much.
But we do need to talk about that. Because if there was a John Wayne movie or a
Oh,
Walt
yeah.
Disney movie,
Yeah,
we would
did.
go.
Yeah,
How many of us remember the Alamo at the drive-in?
yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I just remember coming home from a Cheyenne social club and Dad not approving of the Cheyenne social
Well,
club.
that was,
I
yeah.
bet he did.
Yeah.
Mom would have been the one you wouldn't think.
Yeah,
of.
but for some reason I associate it with Dad, but it could have been Mom, but in my
Yeah.
memory it was.
We went, do you remember going to North to Alaska?
Mhm.
And the old, another theater, there was 2 theaters in town. And it was there beside the Hall Drug, my gracious, that's been a long time. By Western Drug and there was,
Mhm. I remember too.
it's a small theater and we went to North to Alaska.
Do you remember going to Geronimo with the Seiko Theater?
Mhm.
Yes,
And-
and some Walt Disney movies
First
at
time
the
I fell in
Seiko.
love.
You fell in love with the Seiko
You remember
Theater?
that Indian maiden and
Oh,
Geronimo?
yes, Geronimo. This is kind of like Shania Twain with Bailey. Huh? That was my first love. She was pretty.
We went to 40 Pounds of Trouble there too.
Yeah.
So you guys,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you guys were able to go to the Seiko Theater, 'cause I thought it was
Yeah.
done long
We
before.
went to-
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
No, yeah,
But
and
we
you know
went to
who
a couple
owned that?
movies there.
John McCauley.
Yeah, that's right.
But we did. That was our treat. And when Eugene's opened, then it became pizza and then go to the movie. And that we did.
And that
But it
didn't happen
wasn't
very
that
often,
often.
but
No,
it's.
I don't remember going to
Twice a
movies.
year, maybe,
Yeah.
or once. a
Yeah.
year.
Well, we can. There's quite a few movies I remember we went to.
I remember
So-
going to a movie with mom when I was younger with the Apple Dumpling Gang,
Mhm.
which we had a great time, because that was
Yeah.
Mom's type of
I
movie.
remember.
Yeah, and Dad too.
Yeah,
And-
but Dad didn't go with us.
No, but I
You didn't
remember
count, no.
though, we went to Oliver,
Mhm.
the Ketchums, everybody went, and Dad was singing some of those songs when he was leaving the,
That's probably still my favorite movie.
Was Oliver?
yeah.
But
Yeah,
Mom
Dad,
was gone one time though then, and Dad took me to a movie. I was probably.
Really?
I must have been a freshman or sophomore or something. We went to Call of the Wild. You know, another
Well-
Alaska.
Oh,
Huh?
yeah.
I don't know where, I was upper high school, I don't know where you were, but we were alone, and Dad and I went to Goodbye Girl,
Mm.
which was,
Oh.
That's,
Really?
Yeah.
that's
nice.
I never.
Goodbye, girl.
see, I never got that.
but it was just Dad and I in the house, and I think it might have been my idea, and Dad said, sure, and we went down.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, 'cause I had nothing. I was.
Yeah,
I don't know why we were alone, but who
Never.
knows why.
Yeah, you guys out there, you don't have to keep track of me. The one time that my sister Terry would have liked to have strung me up is when they went to your college graduation. I had that motorcycle wreck, and Terry had to take me to
Oh,
the
yeah.
hospital.
He's all tore
My
up.
hands all torn to shreds, and Terry's going, "What are you doing?" I actually feel sorry for you now because I was injured when I wasn't in that much trouble. But I know that you probably.
Well, I have to tell, every time, I told Lona this last, every time I see Chris Christensen, which is what, every 2 years, but I've 3 or 4 times now, the first thing he said to me is, Terry, I have this very fond memory of you taking me and Mark to see,
Star Wars.
no,
Oh.
Every Which Way But Loose.
Oh, was that what it was?
I'm like, okay. And then he brought up last night, and you having to take care of Mark's hand. But that,
Yeah, I
every
couldn't
time he has
imagine
that
that phone call trying to find Mom. You guys,
Yeah.
Mark's hands half cut off.
It wasn't that bad. But what I remember is sitting in the ER and the doctor trying to
Gregory.
or the nurse cleaning it out and not having a whole lot of sympathy.
It was Gregory because I was on a motorcycle.
Yeah, Gregory
Found
did,
gloves, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Done
I
that.
was good on everything. Did I have a helmet? Yep, I had a helmet. Jim, no, I had a good heavy jacket on. And he knew the answer to the last one. Jim gloves. No, you idiot.
yeah, Gregory he didn't have any sympathy for stupidity.
Well, and
But going back, Mom and Dad's reaction was, okay.
Really?
Well, I don't remember, but it wasn't. I mean,
It
it
wasn't
wasn't. They
bad.
didn't come back.
Yeah.
They didn't. You know, it was
Well,
like
they had
you
more,
did-
they had confidence in
You don't
well, if he
remember
was at the
saying-
hospital and
Yeah,
he was
every-
being taken
my
care of.
time- yeah, and they wrapped it all up, and then when they came home, we went back and they did the skin graft. Like 3-4 days later, they did the skin graft and stuff.
well, talk about sympathy. We have to talk about our non-sympathetic attitude towards Mark broken elbow as
Oh,
well.
It was only 3 days.
Just stop whining.
What'd you fall off of a?
Well, the saddles in that saddle room were on them posts, and I think Susan was down. I can't remember who was on. I'm just sitting on that, and we were goofing around, and the saddle turns, and I just stick my arm out, my left arm, to break my fall. Well, my arm overturns, kind of like Trey's does, and it jammed it. I'm like, so I took it and went, and just popped that.
Oh. You were
And
third
it's like-
grade, something like
Something, I
that?
was like 8 years old, yeah. And that was like on a Friday afternoon.
Mhm.
And Mom's like, oh yeah, you're all right. You're all right. Finally Monday we go in and the doctor's like, yeah, he might have to go, you know, they did put me out to get it set finally because they couldn't. They thought they were going to send me to Great Falls, but it all turned out.
You were kind of
all right.
the accident prone.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say, because you had more with your toenail.
I remember
But that
that.
wasn't an accident, but that was
My
a,
infected toe.
yeah.
But
You've
how
been-
many of you guys also then have kind of adopted that laissez-faire attitude
Yeah.
towards kids when they're hurt? Because I don't run to the even for myself, I don't run to the doctor every time I'm feeling sick or if my kid's hurt, you know. It's kind of like, well, if it's still
No, I
hurting in
didn't.
3 days, we'll take you to the hospital.
How long after you hurt your knee loading that barrel did they do the surgery? Was it like within a couple months or a month, or did it go a while? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I know that when he
It was
came
a
back,
few
it was,
months at least.
yeah, he was supposed to go to prom. I don't know
I
who he
did
was.
go to prom.
Yeah, I don't remember who you took.
Eleanor.
Oh, yeah, Eleanor
I
Gratz.
can't finish it.
But he was on crutches, but he had to go to Great Falls to do it, yeah.
Yeah, that was in the summer, so it must have been at least a couple months later.
So you actually, I remember you had the piece they took out of that for a long time.
Probably still do somewhere, but I don't
It
know.
might,
Oh, I probably
was
left
in
it
the
in the
house,
house when
yeah.
it burnt up, probably.
A lot of things that went up in that house. That probably, things that were hard on Mom, that had to be rough.
You know,
But she never said anything
she
about
never
it.
said it, I never saw her mourn. Because all she could say is just stuff. And, you know, Mom, whatever was on her walls were gifts. You know,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
she wasn't materialistic.
No, but the house that was hers.
Well,
That was
yeah,
her.
yeah. But she says she was more worried about people getting hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Going in and getting, and I never saw her really mourn. She could have mourned on her own, privately.
If she was gonna mourn, it would have been on her own.
Yeah, but what I saw was pretty strong lady.
Oh, yeah. It's just kind of like Terry was saying, laissez-faire, whatever. I mean, we move on. There's nothing we can do about it
That
now.
would be really hard.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And then there was a lot of her family history stuff in there
And
that,
yeah,
that would have been. you
And
know,
our pictures.
And all of our baby pictures
Yeah.
and all of our baby books. And
but yeah, and it was so cold that day. Oh God, it was cold, and it was right after Christmas, and we were in church, and somebody, I don't know who, came into church and tapped Mom on the shoulder and said the house was on fire.
And the other thing I worry about is how much she blamed herself for it. If she somehow thinks she left something on, or
Yeah,
you know, you just don't know.
Yeah.
but it was all electrical. But I still have the roaster pan. That was in the oven. She had the roast in the oven, and it went through it went into the basement. It's in pretty bad shape. I took it. And,
But she had a lot of things in that cedar chest.
yes,
Saved that and the
Some
buffet.
Half of it.
Yeah. But not a lot.
Yeah.
That was hard. I think that was hard. It was hard on me.
yeah.
So what was the layout of the house?
Well, you walked in this long kind of porch. Dad put a bathroom, a shower and a toilet and a sink, just a little at the end. And then you walked into
To
the
the
kitchen.
left.
Yeah, well,
Into the dining room.
yeah, well, before it was a kitchen, before they remodeled.
We're not talking about what's before.
No, no. But anyway, yeah, but they didn't do that remodeling until I was out of school. And so, yeah, you walked in the dining room and the kitchen was to the right. She had a nice kitchen. She
And
enjoyed
there
her
was a
kitchen.
nice big bar there,
Yeah.
or whatever, your countertop there.
Yeah,
that
she-
so
Because the old kitchen wasn't much. And so she really got to enjoy that. And then they put in a new bathroom and
Utility room.
they squared the house off because there was a kind of a,
Do you remember any of it, Brady?
I remember that there was a rotary phone. I remember there was a pool table I
Uh-huh,
remember watching Lady and the Tramp, and I remember the fireplace on the bricks.
okay.
Those
And
are the
that-
things that I remember.
That back
I don't
room-
remember the loft or any of those things. I couldn't really tell you the layout. And honestly, it's been so long, I don't know if they're how good of memories they are or memories of memories at this point.
That back room that you remember with that was put in 80? Because it was
I
when I
think
was
so.
in Concordia.
Yeah, cause I was
79,
still
80.
home, I was still
Yeah.
home.
And then the rest of, right off the kitchen, they had squared it off, so when I was in 4th grade,
Yeah.
I had a little bedroom.
Oh, that's right.
Tiny, probably as big as from,
Yeah, they spread
This
the
right here.
utility
Yeah.
room, kitchen,
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
bedroom.
Put it over the top of our sand pile.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sandbox.
You're right.
Yeah.
Now, was it the kitchen you said that had a giant picture window that the horse would run back and forth in
Well, that
front
was the dining
of? The
room,
dining room.
yeah, just right where, where,
The lilac tree you said.
yeah. I'm trying to think of where my house lays now, and I
Yeah.
can't even come up with it, but anyway,
Well, I think our house is a little farther back.
a little bit. But that lilac tree that's like in the middle of the
Mhm.
yard there, that was right
Right
where
by-
that window was.
Yeah.
There was a lilac tree and the other one wasn't a lilac, it was a carrigan or
Yeah,
something.
carrot, oh, honeysuckle.
Oh, there you go.
It was a
At my
honeysuckle.
mom and dad's bedroom.
Yeah, yeah. No, what's my train of thought?
Did you freeze all the time in that little room though?
It was cold. I had
That
a
room was
little
cold.
space heater in there.
Oh, yeah.
It was cold, yeah. And back where the where the pool table was, is where that little porch area that they made into a bedroom. That Mike had a little tiny bedroom back there, and Mark and I.
I had it first.
Oh, you had it
first, and then she changed things around, and then Lon and I end up together.
In the other room.
Yeah,
Yeah, my memory of it is when Mike was
Yeah.
back there,
yeah.
and Mark and I had the other.
We had
part
the
of it.
heater
We had the heater, but we had to share a bed for a while, and then
until that got built on.
till
probably.
the 4th
Yeah.
grade when that
Yeah.
got built.
I like to think of that room of Mike's, it was just a coffin, I thought, a cold coffin.
And I remember Jill coming to visit when the Jensen would come, and Jill and I got that bed. I don't
Jill
know.
or
Leslie?
Leslie?
Probably. I don't know.
Oh, it might have been
See, Jill's
might
younger
have-
than me, so.
Yeah, it might have been Leslie. I don't
I
remember,
bet it
but I
was
remember them being afraid to sleep in that bed because of spiders.
Oh, man.
Oh, remember though, when Roy and Marion and Maureen,
It was the year of the crickets.
oh God, we had crickets galore, and they'd be crickets on the bed, and they just scream. Oh
You don't
God.
remember the year
We
of the
didn't get a
crickets?
lot of
Oh, there were
Out
crickets
of town
everywhere.
visitors. Family
I
didn't.
remember the moths.
Aunts and uncles didn't come visit us a lot
Because
because it
the
was either mosquitoes or crickets or
Yeah,
something.
but Uncle DJ, the only time he would come is before the mosquitoes.
Before Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, because Jensen's came quite
And
often.
I remember many times being at the Jensens when the mosquitoes were really nasty outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Bakers had
Yeah, it was
mosquitoes
yeah.
as well.
But that porch, that new addition, that was built with Mom's inheritance.
Moms
That's
From
what that,
Grandpa and Grandma.
from
from Uncle Morris.
I mean, yeah, Uncle Morris.
Oh, Uncle
Yeah,
Morris,
yeah.
okay.
But she did get checks from after Grandpa and Grandma died. After Grandma Tunby died. And they had to buy the place, Morris and Rolf but they just split it up into different, every year she would get a little check.
which
But-
I'm sure just was
Yeah,
a savior to them.
yeah. But the inheritance, her inheritance.
I've often wondered about that.
She got like, if I remember, it was like 25,000 from Uncle Morris at that
I didn't
time.
realize that.
Because
And that was a
Dad,
lot of money back then.
yeah, Dad got that red horse trade that we still have.
That was Grandpa
Yeah.
Johnson's.
Oh, that was? Oh, okay.
I think that was from I think,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
And then, remember, you talk about horses. Oh, you don't remember.
He remembers Trixie.
Poncho,
And Poncho, yeah.
yeah, but Midnight.
Yeah.
Remember we went to Oswego and picked up Midnight?
Remember
And I think that was one of Dad's first horses. And then we got that stupid Shetland, Dusty. I fell off that stupid horse so many times. I said, I'm not having anything more to do with horses.
I remember besides
Trixie and
Trixie.
Poncho.
I remember Poncho could unlock any gate on the
Yeah.
place and.
Yeah,
And that's what that picture Brady Wood was talking about. I remember she'd get out and then go back and forth in that window until Mom seen them.
yeah,
Mom would go outside, and then down the road they'd go.
yeah. Oh, they love to tease Mom. They run through her garden.
That's
Oh,
right, if a bull got out or a cow or a horse, they didn't go down the road, they had to go through her garden.
Or down in the yard. Remember when they planted the trees, they planted that one tree in the middle? And the horses or the bulls got out and broke that one tree off in the middle?
Thank goodness.
And thank goodness, Mom always thinks though, thank goodness, because,
What were the
That-
odds of them when they planted them trees of them all being cottonless?
Yeah, that was pretty amazing, isn't it?
But then you guys had what's now one of the largest cottonwood trees just down on the ditch.
yeah, and that's old. That is
Is it
old.
still alive?
Oh
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I-
It's not doing real well, but it's still.
Yeah, it does what cottonwoods do, and when it loses water, it'll drop a couple limbs. But I'm assuming the construction
gets
of the
more
ditch is
water.
probably when it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
we
remember
gotta
there was a
measure
guy
that
that
thing
stopped
someday.
one time and wanted to go down and see that tree, because he had lived there. And he wanted to go down and
We
see
always
the
played
tree.
down around that tree.
Remember that old granary that wasn't too far from it?
Oh, yeah, we played and played and played.
Played
and
and
We
played.
made that into a playhouse.
And the trap doors and we'd crawl down underneath. Well,
I didn't worry about spiders in closed place.
For some reason, I did not like spiders, but we'd go up in that attic and find things in that attic.
Yeah.
And our parents, it's interesting the time back then too, because we were out there playing, crawling in and out of these old things and around the barns, and Mom never watched us. Dad certainly wasn't watching us. We'd step on a nail. I think we all stepped on a nail or two. But other than that, I mean, it's crazy how much we were just left.
You guys were jumping out of the loft of the barn. I never.
Yeah, I did it once
Down
and
in
I
the
wasn't gonna
irrigation
do it.
ditch.
Ditch, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'd run to the irrigation ditch.
Swimming down there and then
Yeah,
shack down there.
and because the mosquitoes were so bad, we'd run down there and, yeah,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
played a
it's
lot.
amazing how much we were not monitored
yeah.
So what buildings were in the barnyard when you were growing up?
in
'Cause
the
I think
barnyard.
I think the oil shed's probably the
That's the last original
That's the
besides the grain bins.
Yeah.
Well, when Dad got the place, what used to be the long barn there was the milking side of a huge barn, and the rest of the barn is, I don't know if you remember. I don't. I mean,
It was just
obviously.
a all
big
fallen
pile.
in.
Pie, yeah. We'd fight over who got to milk cotton. His dad would bring in a cow from the big herd that lost a calf or something and try to milk it. And cotton was the easy milker.
I think we got her from Lydia, didn't we?
Yeah, but, yeah, we had to milk
And
cows.
Brownie and Blackie.
Yeah,
Milking, I have so many milking memories because I was so horrible at it. So
Step in the
horrible.
and then they'd step in the bucket.
Or,
and they-
yeah,
oh.
and step on your toe, and then the tail would come and hit you in the face. And a lot of times my job was to hold the tail so Dad and Mike could milk, or Mike, because Dad always milks in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to milk, and I would milk, and they'd kick the bucket over or step on my toe, and my milk, by the time I was done, had more manure and junk in it than anything. And
Yeah.
Mike and Dad could always make this nice, frothy, beautiful milk, and I could never do it.
Yeah, my hands weren't.
And then if you set the bucket down in the barnyard and Poncho was around, Dad said she'd just go
Suck
drink
it
it.
dry.
And every time when Dad was milking, you go into the barn, you'd get milk in your face. And he loved doing that, or he'd
Yeah.
be feeding the cats. But you'd get it right in the face.
But Dad liked his cream. He liked his butter. And buttermilk. He loved buttermilk.
Dad used to take homemade bread and put that thick cream on top with sugar.
Oh,
The
yeah,
treat.
that was
That
good.
was the treat.
It was good.
There wasn't a meal that we didn't have cream on the table.
Until the doctor said we could no longer do that.
Well, then Dad ended up with a bleeding ulcer and had his stomach, half of his stomach removed.
And we quit milking a lot
Yeah.
when we all
Well,
got into high school, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Did you have to milk? I never had to milk there. Yeah, it was,
Maybe a little bit, but no, I think it was even before Dad had his old circus
Yeah.
that we had gotten rid of the cows. It was mainly because he was gaining a lot of weight. I think he had gone and then said, you guys need to get rid of, I think they were milking 2 at that time and
But I
double
also
up.
We were coming
remember-
home from the fair, and I was probably between sophomore and junior year. We had to go home from the fair to milk the cows,
Oh, I
and Mom said,
remember.
that's enough of that.
Yeah.
That was the
Well,
end of her milking.
Yeah, I remember us going someplace. Us
Have
kids
to go
were just
back.
getting, playing and well, we gotta go home and milk the cows.
It was always our job coming after school too. We had to go get the cows in. And we'd come up, the little incline coming up from Melby's. And, cause that's where the pasture was. They could go all the way clear down almost to past the cornfield, couldn't they? Those cows.
At times, yeah, they could. yeah.
And we'd always like, where are the cows at? Where are the cows at? Cause we didn't want them to be clear down in that corner to have to go get them in. Sometimes they'd be up there waiting. But it was always like, okay, where are the cows today that we have to go get them in and milk them?
Yeah. Well, it was, yeah. We had fun. I mean, it was good. Yeah, but, we had lots of friends. We had Schofields. Remember Schofields? I mean, we just had lots of friends. The adults would play cards. But I think Terry got those times playing cards with grandmas where you picked up the card playing.
Might be.
Loving, I mean, we grew up playing cards and
Yeah.
loving to
Dad would-
play cards.
Dad would have that architect board,
Yeah,
and we'd sit there and play rummy on that with him.
Yeah.
But